Welcome back to Legal Tea and Courtroom Drama. And honey, do I have some legal tea and courtroom drama for you? Yes, I do. And let me tell you, this particular case is full of it, if it's ever been a case. And this concerns the YSL racketeering trial. And I'm going to tell you right up front, Lady Justice did not want to deal with this. And the reason is because I don't know who YSL is, and I'm not that familiar with Young Thug, but because I am Lady Justice, I had to do my due diligence to find out. But the reason why it come to my attention is because, honey, one of the defense attorneys just got arrested. Oh my God. And of course, when I start doing my due diligence, I found out a whole lot of drama going on with this particular case, and I want to bring it to you. Okay, let's talk about what just happened recently. Well, one of the criminal defense attorney, his name is Anastasios Manettas. He actually represents one of the defendants named Miles Farley, aka Lil Miles. Well, supposedly, Attorney Manettas went to court and he had 2 Percocets. These are prescription drugs, but they were not in their original containers. And so he was arrested for possessing prescription drugs not in his original container. When he was arrested, supposing his hands were behind him, and another attorney who was nearby, I believe is also one of the other attorneys representing the defendant, he actually was tossing this phone towards that attorney because that attorney asked him for his phone. Well, instead of the attorney getting the phone or even being able to get it, the phone hit one of the deputies. So Ms. Manettas is not only charged with possession of prescription meds not in its original container, but he's also charged with simple battery and simple assault on an officer. Now, because there are a bunch of attorneys there, I'm sure he's not going to have any problem getting an attorney. But everyone believes the latter 2 charges is definitely a mistake. And one of the attorneys actually believes that these officers are simply trying to prove a point and make him an example of what not to do, and it's unnecessary and blowing out proportion. Lady Justice believed that attorney. You know good and doggone well he did not intend to hit you with this phone and that he was throwing it or tossing it towards the other attorney. But because you do have a lot of attorneys, I'm sure that's going to be cleared away when they do come back for court. Well, it gets a little bit more interesting because Mr. Manettas is representing a defendant and he's now in jail. He obviously can't represent him, right? Well, his case has been severed. So that means while he was part of the big case, he is now likely to be prosecuted by himself. He won't have the benefit of being with all the other defendants. Now, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Anyway, this is not the only kind of drama that's going on. And for some of you guys, you probably already know. But I didn't know because, like I said, I kept shy away from that because, it was just a lot of drama. But I decided to look into it because as Lady Justice, I must do so. So, as many of you probably know, this case was finally set for trial back in January. And as part of this trial, you have to go through the procedure of picking a jury. Well, jury selection started in January. And honey, not a one jury member has taken seat 4 months. And not one has actually been seated. That is crazy. Well, you know why? Because a lot of more drama. So first thing first, there was a jury member who had a planned trip, supposedly, to go to Dominican Republic. And Miss Thang said, I am going to Dominican Republic. Screw this, jury duty. My ticket has already been planned. Me and my friends are going. I'm going to Dominican Republic. I don't care what the judge say. Well, Miss Thang decided to take her hind parts to Dominican Republic. And when she got back, guess what? Judge Glanville had something for her little hind parts to do.
It's punishable easily by a fine of $1,000 and or 20 days in jail. I am not going to fine you. I'm going to, well, first, madam, did you attend college?
Yes.
You have a 4-year degree?
Yes, Southern Tech. Yes.
Say again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What I think I'm going to do is, in order for you to satisfy your contempt, I'm going to commute the 20 days and require you to write a 30-page paper on the importance of jury service. You're going to write, at a minimum, the history of jury service, who could not serve on a jury, because that's very important, because years ago, people that look like us couldn't serve on juries. It was prohibited. I want you to talk about jury service in Georgia and discrimination at a minimum, those 4 things, okay? And you can talk about anything else you want to, in that regard. And we're going to run it through a plagiarism checker. You got to write it yourself. And then you're going to come back and talk to me about it.
Supposedly, the judge found her in contempt for disobeying her jury duty and required her to actually write a 30-page paper on the importance of jury duty. But not only is it just some simple little page, no sirree, Bobby. Miss Thing has to write a scholarly paper that must include not 1, not 2, not 3, but 20 sources from which she got her information. 10 of those sources must be primary and 10 must be secondary. Now, I pray this young lady is a writer because, you know, everybody don't excel in writing. Some people may even dropped out of high school. Irrespective, I hope she can write. But I'm telling you, the idea of being forced to write a freaking term paper and you an adult and you're out of school, I just think that's a lot. But I guess if the choices is to pay a fine or go to jail, writing a paper might seem easier. I don't know. But in addition to that, she must write this paper in APA style. Now, I think I'm a good writer, but I don't know if I can actually write a paper in APA style because, honey, I've been out of school for a couple of years. I'm kind of young, so probably like 2 years. No, joking. But in any event, gosh, I just think that's a lot. So in any event, this particular person, like I said, she decided she was going to go out the country, and the judge said, okay, well, you go out the country, but this is your punishment. Now, that's not the only thing that's happened. Something else happened in this case. Oh, so you guys know about in January, also, there was an illegal transaction that took place in open court with one of the co-defendants, Khalif Adams. First thing first, I don't know who these players are, but I'm going to say a name like Khalif, that is a powerful name. And personally, I just think you are disrespecting your name. You are in open court. You're already on trial for racketeering. And somehow this individual thought, despite you being in court, despite there being a judge, despite there being a law enforcement officer, oh, I'm just going to bring drugs into the courtroom and I'm going to hand it off to one of the defendants right in front of everybody. Maybe he thought he was smarter than everybody else, but honey, clearly he was not. And if there's ever a case of a stupid criminal, that right there is a stupid criminal. Because you're going to go up to this man's table unsolicited out of your own free will, and you just going to hand him some drugs and think ain't nobody going to see that. Like, what in the ham hock were you thinking? That already happened. And so because that has happened, that's another drama-filled thing in this case, okay? Now, some other stuff now happened as well. So as you also know, that the district attorney is also trying to use Young Thug's lyrics in one of his songs called Slim Beep, Beep, Beep. I don't know the song, but apparently what they're saying is that the lyrics give credence to his behavior, and they believe it will help to explain and to show that he was actually saying what he was doing in a song. Now, this is not uncommon for district attorneys or prosecuting attorneys to use the lyrics of some artists' music. But of course, the attorneys for the defendants are saying, this is ridiculous. This is just lyrics to music. It has nothing to do with his actual life. It's not any indicative of something that he did, but I'm sure they have motions. I haven't looked at the motions and to see how those are played out. If that's something you guys want me to look into, I'll do that. But as of now, it is quite interesting that the district attorney would utilize or attempt to utilize the lyrics in his song as a way to say that he actually did this particular crime that he's been charged of. In addition to that, last month, there was a video that was leaked of a witness that were actually providing intel to the prosecuting investigators. And that is major because that could potentially put the witness' life at stake and at risk, and potentially keep that witness from coming to testify. Not to mention, maybe the witness have families, and those people's lives can be at stake as well. The biggest question, at least from my perspective, who the heck leaked it, and why, and who have access to it? This is major. This could actually stall the case even more than what is stalled now. But the other thing that's really crazy about that is, how often do you actually hear about a case where the witness videotape has been leaked? Honey, something is going on. Now, another crazy thing that happened here, there's an attorney by the name of Eric Johnson, who also is representing some of the defendants. In fact, he represented defendant Christian Eppinger, and he was found in contempt. But you would not believe why.
Mr. Johnson, how are we doing on that paper? I mean, the importance of professionalism. Yours is due by the 28th of April. I'm just checking, I'm just clocking. So we on track? Well, your better half said she's not writing it for you either. Okay, well, just want to let you know that, okay? All right, so we're good? I'm sorry? Because that wasn't offered to you. You've already asked me, could I pay the $1,000? I told you no. Well, I know you would, but that's not what's on the table. 28, yes, at noon. Or you do 20 days.
Honey, because he failed to bring lunch to the other attorneys. Glory be to God. Child, I am rocking. I don't understand. Why is it that he did something wrong because he didn't buy lunch? Now, I'm going to just tell you right up front, I was not privy to what happened, and I can't find the backstory. But just the information that's been provided, this particular attorney is accused of not being professional because he didn't bring lunch for the other attorneys. And his punishment is that he must write a 17-page scholarly document that is so good that it could potentially be put in publication like a legal journal. And just like the other paper, this must include 20 sources, 10 primary and 10 secondary sources. And the judge had the nerve to tell him, don't get his wife to write it. Child. I just don't understand what's going on in this trial. Now, this particular attorney, his assignment is to write this paper on the importance of professional conduct. I don't get it. Maybe somebody can explain that to me, or maybe you might know the backstory, because I personally don't understand. Like, my question is, like, what in the ham hock prevented the other attorneys from buying their own lunch? Like, was he like the duty lawyer to buy lunch today for everyone? And then the other question, like, what if this man don't have the money? What if he didn't eat lunch? What if he got tuition for his children, or he got mortgage to pay for, or he got college or something? What if he just don't freaking want to? But somehow the professional conduct of an attorney requires him to buy lunch for people he might not even know. He might not even like. But I got to buy you some lunch in order to keep my hind parts out of jail. I don't understand. I am certain there's some things that Mr. Johnson could possibly do that does not include writing this letter, but writing this page or paper, but it is due on April 28th. And Judge Glanville said that if it is not done by the 28th, then he's looking at potentially 20 days in jail. Now, I'm just going to keep looking to see what's happening, because I'm just trying to wrap my head around the rationale behind this. Like, I'm not buying anybody else lunch, but I got to go and write this term paper. You know, And then if I decide I'm not going to do it because it's quite frankly to me disrespectful as HE double hockey stick and it's demeaning, I now am facing 20 days in jail. I don't know. But I'll bring it back to you as soon as I find out something about it. I'll let you guys know. But it even more stuff, honey, more drama, more drama, more drama. So this month, just recently, deputies actually arrested another person by the name of Wadelius Ryan. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Now, initially, nobody knew what was happening, but they arrested Mr. Ryan and placed him into lockup. And out of nowhere, you hear screaming, and everyone is concerned, like, oh my God, what's happening? They're concerned about what's going on. And then as a result of that, the courtroom was actually evacuated, and of course, that's a delay. But what happened is that the bailiff smelled marijuana on Mr. Ryan's person. They actually started to do a strip search of Mr. Ryan, and that's when you hear the screaming. And the thing is, they end up finding marijuana that was sewn into his underwear. So he actually had 2 packets of marijuana in his sewn in his underwear. So, I mean, that is drama all in of itself. Now, also, there is something that happened. This happened last year. I believe it was like in December. There was this teenager, honey. I don't know how old this kid is, but he was a teenager. He looks very young. This teenager decided that he was going to threaten the sheriff of Fulton County, which is Sheriff Labatt, by saying if you don't release young thug from jail, that he's going to he's going to unalive his wife. Now, honey, if you going to threaten a sheriff, your hind parts better have something more than just a threat, okay? Like, my biggest question is, you in what army? You know, an army of 10th grade, like, who you are? Who do you think you are? Anyway, Chef Labatt was not paying his hind parts any attention because he ultimately ended up getting arrested. Now, to his credit, his mother said that the child is suffering from mental health issues. Now, I'll just put a note. Mental health is really serious. And a lot of people don't pay much attention. We don't give a lot of resources for it. And we need to be more supportive of people who have mental health issues, because if they have it, there are things that they're doing that they really are not, you know, capable of understanding. In any event, this young man was arrested and was placed in jail for some time. I'm not sure if he's still there, but he was placed in jail. Well, apparently, just recently, Chef Labatt, the judge, and the prosecutor and the attorney have started to recently receive additional threats, not only to themselves, but to their families as well. And so it is believed that there is this copycat out here that is making the same threat. And of course, like any sheriff, Sheriff Labatt said, bring it on. I want to see it. We ain't going to be threatened. You know what I mean? And hey, I understand that. And one of the reasons why they believe this could be a copycat is because the URL and the information where this is coming from appears to be something new and different that was not used by the other young guy. So we'll see what's happening with that. But needless to say, honey, this is at least 9 unbelievably juicy bits and pieces of legal tea and courtroom drama. But it ain't over. It ain't over. There is an honorable mention because I think this is really interesting and funny and quite frankly ridiculous, but I'm sure you guys probably know. I wasn't too familiar with it because, like I said, I wasn't, you know, keeping a tally on this case. But what ended up happening is that sometime, I think it was in December, there were some attorneys that were going to appear in court via video conferencing, like maybe Zoom or something like that, right? Well, before they can actually get the Zoom set up, there was a video that appeared in open court via the video conferencing system, and it was a pornography. And clearly to say, these people was in the act, right?
Things from the vantage point.
And at the end of the pornography, there was this big sign that says, "Free Young Thug." Honey, Young Thug has a wonderful following. That's all I can say, because all these people that are doing this stuff to either cause distraction, cause delay, or just support, that's a lot. And you're doing all this stuff in the face of judges, prosecuting attorneys, and law enforcement officers. You are putting your life at risk. All I can say is that it is drama, honey, and I gonna bring it to you. So anyway, let me know what y'all think about that, and if you want to hear more about it, I will be certain to give it to you. Anyways, thank you for listening again. This is Lady Justice.